Um, but I'll hit you with some Rondé Hollis Jefferson trivia. Where did he go to college?
Was it Arizona?
It was. There you go. See.
Yeah.
So also, what do you? So now with all these new signings, the roster's kind of getting solidified. What do you think the starting lineup's going to be in your opinion?
Yeah, so I guess we can go through both of ours of what we'd like to see. So I think first of all, I'd like to see if we're just going starting the game, we want to put up some points. We're just going out there to compete. I'd say my starting lineup would be D'Lo at the 1, Malik at the 2, Edwards at the 3, Wancho at the 4, and Cat at the 5. And I think the reason for this being all those players can step outside of the arc and hit a 3. And I think the Timberwolves' philosophy is shoot threes and space the floor and drive. I think if you have all 5 of those guys on the floor, you're not going to be able to account for every single one of those guys. One of those guys is going to be able to penetrate and kick out, and there's going to be an open 3 or an open lane to drive.
See, the only problem I have with that is if we're talking the first game of the year, I think it's going to be tough to start Ant-Man in the first game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to start Rubio, man. I think you got.
I can see that too. I definitely can.
For sure, that might it's hard having Rubio and D'Lo on the court at the same time. I'm really excited to see how they're gonna handle that.
I think they're gonna play off each other really well when they're on the court together. I think Rubio's a really unselfish player, and I think D'Lo will still get to carry the ball up too.
See, but how does Rubio off ball without the ball in his hands? How can he really affect the game? That's my only problem with that because I feel like he needs to be making the plays and dishing out the ball, and if he's doesn't have the ball in his hands, I feel like he might struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll have to see because obviously Rubio's most dangerous when he's a playmaker with the ball in his hands, and he's not the best coming off picks and shooting, but I think obviously he is an approved 3-point shooter. He's shooting at 36% from the 3, which he wasn't doing when he was on the Timberwolves the first time, so that's always a really big plus. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think first game of the year, like you were saying, I think possibly Rubio in there is just a leader. I think could be a good for the starters, but I think it would be great for those guys on the bench in the Okogis and Culvers because I think Rubio will make those guys that much better. And then if and once Rubio leaves for good, those guys became that much better because they had a Ricky Rubio and they got to play off him a lot. So I think that's why him leading the second team, I think, would definitely be great.
Yeah, I definitely think that our second team is going to be actually pretty scary this year. With you even got Culver, McDaniels, Rubio.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be exciting because usually with the team you're only excited about the starters, and once the starters go out, you don't really have anything to be excited about. But now, I mean, the bench is actually looking pretty scary.
Yeah, I think the really underrated piece too is I think when Rondé comes in and plays the 4, Nas at the 5 I think is really underrated because Nas can step outside and hit. He's like a budget Karl Anthony Towns kind of. He can step outside and hit the 3, and he's a bigger body and can rebound like that too. So I think the second we have depth now. I don't think we had depth last year, and we actually have really decent depth.
Yeah, man. So when's our first game of the year?
I believe our first. So they haven't released the schedule yet. We do not play on Christmas Day, so it's either the 22nd or the 23rd will be the first game of the year. But the first preseason game is I want to say 11th or the 12th against the Grizzlies.
Grizzlies. So who do we got? What are the matchups looking like for that game? What are you going to be watching that game?
I think I'll tune into the first preseason game, and I think we can talk about it. No, I'll definitely tune into the game. Probably try to watch it all. I think Ja Morant's a lot to handle, but I also think that would be an interesting matchup, D'Lo and Ja. I'd like to see how they kind of go off against each other because there's 2 different play styles. I think Ja more plays like Russell Westbrook, whereas D'Lo plays a little bit slower, like I don't want to say James Harden, but he plays slower like him. He's not the most athletic guy. He's going to try to beat you with his skill. So that'll be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for the basketball season to start up. And what we were talking